going to finish these walls off around to the front there. Got a little bit of abseiling to do across the back wall.
Yep.
In the middle of a national park in southeast Queensland, workers are strapping themselves in to get a tricky job done.
The traditional way would be to get scaffolding in. We provide solutions, typically using abseil painters to get in and get the job done with low impact to the residents and guests.
Jared Woodbine is now the CEO of Alltech, the company doing the industrial abseiling work. He previously owned a small business doing similar work before it went bust.
It was absolutely devastating. So at that period, I had to let go of all my staff, shut doors of the business. The repo guys came and repossessed the work vehicles. It was a harsh reality to face, and at that time it really was a cash flow issue. The business was profitable.
Jared's faced a problem familiar to many small businesses. His customers taking too long to pay their bills, making it hard to manage his cash flow.
As many small businesses could relate to, when that payday is coming around and you have invoices that are due, but you don't have the security of knowing that they're actually going to be paid in time. You can find yourself living in a state of constant anxiety, wondering whether or not you're going to have the capital to keep funding your business.
According to exclusive data provided by accounting firm Xero, payment terms are continuing to increase. The longest 10% of payment terms has blown out, up 5 days from an average 53 to 58 days. That's almost 2 months. Most businesses wait 1 extra day to be paid on average. Sounds tiny, but collectively this means small business is extending an extra $600 million loan to their customers.
We hear stories every day of large businesses simply not paying or pushing out payment times and putting small businesses in a position where they've really got nowhere to go but to close up shop. Hello, how are you?
The Small Business Ombudsman, Kate Carnell, is now calling for a legislated maximum 30-day payment term for big businesses dealing with small business. She says there has to be a punishment for those that don't.
There should be a benefit to the small business who hasn't been paid if the big business doesn't pay, and that should be a mandatory payment.
Only 136 of Australia's biggest 3,000 companies have signed up to a voluntary payment terms code.
So it shows that voluntary codes simply don't work, and we need to move to legislation. I hope that the government realises that right now, with COVID-19, with the challenges for small businesses, challenges for jobs in this country, it's a time that we desperately need to improve payment times.
But big business doesn't want to be told how long they have to pay.
Regulatory interventions like this almost always have unintended consequences. It's very possible the big business here will decide not to do business with small business at all. They might just source their supplies and products from other bigger businesses. That would be a clear loss for the small business sector.
In South Australia, plumbing business owner Anthony Reynolds employs 6 staff and says late payments are a major issue.
Hey, how you going?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Yeah, good.
Just paying the boys weekly, we've always got those payments. That doesn't change. That's something that we have to find the money for every week. So when we finish these jobs, often, 50 days later to get the money.
Anthony says any attempt to negotiate shorter terms would be near impossible.
Doesn't sit well with me, but that's just the way it's always been, and if you tend to whinge about it, you're not going to get the work. So if you want the work, it is what it is, and you've got to agree to it.
But it's not just cash flow issues. Long payment terms increase the risk the other company goes broke, and that means the receiving small business may not be paid at all.
The last one that took us for some money, it took a lot of people. It wasn't only just us. And it put a massive amount of stress on me, my business partner, and our families.
It's over $5 billion every year that is not paid to small businesses in the construction industry as a result of business failure. So this is a tragic situation.
Louise Stewart says despite the construction industry already having rules that are supposed to regulate payment terms, the system doesn't work.
So even though there are security of payment laws that do have statutory timeframes for payment, they're not enforced by small businesses because obviously there's a clear balance in power. These small businesses very much rely on work from a handful of contractors. They don't want to potentially damage that relationship and the potential for future work.
So there really needs to be an independent entity like my office and small business commissioners at state level who are in a position to take on these big guys on behalf of small contractors or small businesses that aren't paid.
Back in Queensland, Jared Woodbine is in favour of locking in a mandated time period for payment, especially for small businesses which are already suffering during a recession.
That would be incredible for the industry. It would just minimise the risk in a way that you'd be able to take on contracts, having a lot more confidence that at the absolute most, you're only going to be caught out with potentially 30 days worth of investment as opposed to 60 or 90.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.